Hello.
Hi there. Before we get into today's episode, which I must say,
There's a lot of non-finance chat.
is there?
Yeah.
Was there? I thought it was a great episode.
It was a great episode.
I thought there was quite a lot of fun.
No, there was at the end, so stick around.
But before we get into it, we just wanted to let you know we're doing a beginner's bootcamp for investing, because there's a lot of people who listen to this podcast who are like, must learn about investing, but don't do anything about it. And rather than just saying like, join the club and get investing ideas, we wanted to do a full scope, learn about it, do the personal finance element as well, so you have enough to be consistently, regularly investing, and then understand investing and actually start building your portfolio.
And a lot of people might be new to this podcast, and we're talking about things that they don't understand. And so this is a perfect opportunity for you to get up to speed. And we promise that you'll come out of it confident enough to A, understand us, and B, actually be investing. So yes, very excited.
Yeah, if you want to find out more details, what it includes, what you'll be doing and how much it is, there's a link in the podcast show notes. And for anyone that has questions or would like to know more, please get in touch. Either email, DM us, comment on this podcast, whatever works for you, and we'll get back to you. Other than that,
You can text Soph on
+7. I actually don't know my number, so I can't give that out. Okay, here is the Curve Weekly.
Welcome to the Curve Weekly, the podcast that keeps you up to date with all of the money, business and stock market tea.
Brought to you by the Curves research team. It's the latest insights on what's happening in the stock market, companies, other money-related news, so that you can stay educated and ahead of the curve.
You can thank us later for sounding smarter than those finance bros at your next dinner party.
Do you iron your clothes when they need to be ironed?
Wearing unironed clothes.
Do you look at this shirt and think, yeah, you should have ironed that? Like, do you notice it about people? Because I did try
some people.
I got the iron out and I couldn't figure out how to work it.
I never used to iron. And then I remember being like with a friend, I was like, why does she always look so
disheveled?
No, like so put together.
Oh.
And it's like because she takes 5 minutes to iron her clothes in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't know. And now I think I've got swung the other way. I can't. Even linen, which is supposed to be like, just throw it on.
I've just got this issue at the moment where all my clothes I've kind of got out of storage since getting back here. Nice. But I've got a really hectic wardrobe right now because I don't have enough storage to put things in. No, honestly, I've actually, my room is always pretty tidy. Like it goes through phases where sometimes it'll be, if I've got ready in a hurry, there'll be heaps of shit on the floor. But I'm either, especially because I've just moved into a new place, I'm quite like almost OCD about wanting my space to be really nice.
Yeah.
But because I've got way too much shit to fit in any of the cupboards, there's just this big section of folded bits of stuff. And so much of it is shirts or dresses that need to be ironed.
Yeah. And I do like a big ironing haul. Like I'll just set aside an hour and just iron.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And then it's all ready for the week. In the morning, it's like I don't have time for that.
Yeah. It's really annoying because I just feel like I'm wearing the same shit, or I'm planning my outfits based on not having to iron.
I remember when I was little, on a Sunday, my dad would set up the ironing board in the lounge and put on, I don't know, probably Antiques Roadshow or something. And he would just iron all his shirts for the week. And it's just like this memory that I have.
You were taught from a young age.
I just remember it being so cozy, you know, on a Sunday.
Cute.
On a Sunday,
Did you say on a Sunday?
Sunday. Did I say Sunday? On a Sunday. Did I?
You sound like your boyfriend. What are you doing on Sunday?
On a Sunday, yeah. And we'd all kind of be like, especially in winter, it'd be all cozy, and then he'd just be like ironing away. Good old ironing chat.
Sorry.
Where we've got to?
Well,
wow.
Did you have anything more interesting to talk about?
Did you go to the thing last night?
Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah, nice. How was it?
Okay, so I went to an event last night. It was After Work Drinks, which is a Australian podcast with Grace O'Neill and Izzy Truman. And it was at this cinema.
Yeah, nice.
And they had merch. I was like, God, that's cool. And their hats and stuff were all awesome.
I saw their hats. They look really cool.
I was like, damn, I went to get one before the show, and then I forgot they'd sold out. But it was just cool going to a live podcast show and seeing how other people do it.
Show.
Do you think we would have enough people in London?
I just have anxiety.
Imagine if you had 2 people buy tickets.
I just have anxiety of no one coming.
Can we do?
That's like with every party though. I'm like, is someone gonna come?
Well, so the thing about what they did is they had a cinema, right, and it had downstairs and upstairs. So the upstairs they sold out, but they just had the bottom sold out.
That's quite good.
So it just meant that you're not in a party that feels empty.
Yeah, there's nothing worse. I remember my 30th. I wanted this massive space. Did you come to my 30th?
What did you do for it?
And I hired this place.
Where were you in the world?
In Auckland, and I hired this bar, And I remember my sister being like, it's quite big. Like, you're going to need a lot of people. And there's nothing worse than a party that's spacious.
Yeah, no.
And anyway, it was very spacious.
Was it?
There was lots of people, but it was very spacious. Everyone was outside and then the bar and like, there's like lots of, and I was like, everyone, like on the dance floor. No, it was
Oh, yeah, no. I feel like you do want, in any situation, you want the space to contain the people in a way that feels full. Even we were saying yesterday, we've just moved offices. So now our office is right next to our podcast studio. And we were in this really big, beautiful office, but we just weren't using the space properly.
Hello over there.
And I was saying it feels like you've hired a beautiful space for a party, but no one's showed up because you're not filling it out properly. Whereas now we're in a smaller one and it feels like it fits us perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just nothing worse than having all these gaping. It feels uncomfortable.
It's a fine balance, right? Because like you don't want a space that's too small and then everyone's like,
Sorry, wait, can we just go back to the after work drinks live show?
Yeah.
So basically one of the things that they did is they pulled out all these old photos from photo shoots.
Of them.
Yeah, so through the ages, like
funny.
them growing up. And I was like, oh my God, imagine if we went through like the outtakes of our photo shoots, the shit that would be in there.
I've got some goodies from you.
Do you?
There's one, I'm pretty sure the photographer took a photo as you're like pulling your pants up. Do you remember? And it's like, you're like,
no.
It's
the one that you accidentally had on your phone screen.
Your tits are nearly out. And like, it's a gem.
Oh, great. No, these were more like them in their hotel room doing this sultry, sexy shoot.
Oh.
And at the time being like, shit, yeah, we look hot. And then looking back in hindsight and you're like, oh my God.
Gosh, yeah.
I think we've been lucky and the photographers we've had have been very good.
It's the talent, babe.
Yeah. It's just
the
that
talent's
we're just
been great.
Oh,
it's funny. I keep using photos, when people are like, hey, can you send us some headshots? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I send a photo shoot from like 3 years ago and we look like fresh faced and no grays. And but
I think we need to, this is what it made me think. We need to do a photo shoot. We need updated
but why?
imagery.
That's fine. We're just catfishing everyone.
So it's so funny you say that because we're about to do this really big, exciting partnership. And they were like, cool, so can you send some photos like for the announcement? And I was like, I mean, I can, but like we're definitely false advertising with the images that I'm going to send you because
it's fine, babe.
Vic's face looks completely different.
I know all that collagen that's gone. I'm just like, it'd be quite nice to have that back.
My hair's not the same color. Yeah. Like we actually look like.
Well, you would hope after 3 years, 4 years. That one was 4 years ago. Like
no,
it
wasn't.
It was
one
20,
I'm thinking about.
20.
Where we're like staring at where we did it in your friend's house. We spread out.
Oh, that
on the
was
floor.
3 years ago.
Was it?
Yeah, 2022.
3 years.
I know. And I just finished dating, or just started dating. I know. I'm like, oh.
Holy shit, that feels like a lifetime ago.
I know.
I'm so glad
Where did I look
at
photos? Like, that's when I was,
I do the same. And that's so, I hate that I do that. I look through my phone and I remember times. And what comes to my
that time I was really upset because I just broke up with such and such.
Because, I took this photo because I was trying to make this person jealous.
I thought I looked really good and I posted it because I was trying to thirst trap.
Oh,
gosh. Okay. Yeah.
Now, this podcast, unfortunately, is not just about random shit chat from the ironing to the weather.
No.
But side note, I love your outfit. For anyone that's not watching this.
I'm really into vintage now. I know it took me a while, but I am.
What's changed?
I think just in Japan, there was just such cool vintage stuff. I think every time I vintage shopped, it's been absolute.
Is it because your budget's changed and you now can't afford to just go on the road?
No, because I'm buying nice vintage stuff. No, it's like, it's one off. I don't know. I think it's just
fun and exciting.
I think it's just probably a bit of that, but also I just think it's exciting. It's like discovering stuff. But it's also time consuming.
But the rush you get from finding something that you love, that you know no one else is going to have, or it's quite rare. And it reminds you of a time of finding it, of making an effort. Like, it's such a fun feeling.
Yeah, it is.
Do you remember that black and gold jacket that I used to have in Sydney? And it had big gold arms. And it was kind of quilted. And then on the back it had a beaded sunflower.
Yeah.
Which I know it was never cool, but at the time for me, I thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
And we were with one of our friends in Newtown in Sydney, and I remember finding it. It was 20 Australian dollars. And the feeling I got from it was better than getting a brand new jacket from some cool brand. Like, I just felt it was such a fun thing to find, and I wore it to death.
Yeah, it's fun when you get something that you love. I bought this brown leather jacket in Rome as well. And
What one?
We're heading into summer, and I was like, terrible purchase, but it's great. You're real London, you know?
I love it. I think you're starting to like rough up a bit.
Oh.
Yeah, like you're starting
up.
to like, you know, get a little bit down and dirty with different, you know, because I think for a while you exclusively bought kind of cool office wear looks. You know, like you didn't really go straight.
Here you can't, like I was saying this conversation with my friend this morning. I was like, I have to wear sneakers everywhere because I'm walking everywhere. So therefore I'm not going to wear office wear with sneakers. So therefore I wear jeans, and therefore, you know, like it's all kind of, whereas when I go back home and I drive everywhere, I can dress up a bit and I can wear non-sneakers and
I actually couldn't agree with you more because this morning I walked in and I have the worst blister on one foot because I wore loafers for the first time in weeks because I was sick of wearing sneakers. And I was like hobbling. I was like, oh, this is just such a
disaster. Did you walk from your house?
Yeah, with these.
Shit,
and there's
silly.
actual heel. Look at this. The actual thing has broken. So my like sole has collapsed. Anyway, point is, I agree. You've got to adjust the style. I think it suits you.
Thank you.
Anyway, sorry for our shit yarns.
Wow.
On to...
It's quite fun just talking non-finance.
I honestly wish we could do an offshoot that was just fun, random shit about our lives.
Maybe 50-50 is great. Maybe 50% of the podcast, we talk for another 8 minutes, chit chat, and then, you know, dangle the carrot of finance news at the end.
What I like about this podcast, and it's good for my attention span, is we kind of weave this into the finance chat. Like I like that we, you know, have a random catch up at the start, and then we do talk about news, but we'll do tangents because it keeps me engaged.
It's so hard to like flow it in though when we go from talking about your shoes to UK parental leave.
Oh, don't worry. I got you. Okay. Now,
shoes and dads.
First up on the agenda, we are talking about UK parental leave.
Yeah. God, that sounds...
Okay. Let me try again. Okay. The first thing we're talking about today is...
the world's first ever dad strike.
Oh.
Yeah. Dads striking against terrible parental leave.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, love it. What's happening? So when you say striking...
So we've had so many protests lately, right? Don't get me wrong, I'm all for people showing their freedom of speech and protesting against things that they want to protest against. But this one definitely sparked my interest. And I was like, I've never seen this before. And then when I read the headline, it's the world's first, I was like, that is why. So it's all around... dads in the UK asking for more time with their kids when they're born. So they
only get like 2 weeks, don't they?
2 weeks, yeah. And they're like, I want more cuddles. I want to help my partner. I like, and I think, like, I know we've been like, we have it so tough. We need more support. But I kind of, and I might get ridiculed for this, but I feel like poor dads as well. Imagine having to see your partner, both of you have been thrust into this completely new world, and you're having to leave your partner with a 2-week-old and leave your baby who's 2 weeks old and like really miss out on that bonding time. I think it's just so...
I couldn't agree
I don't know.
with you more.
I can't believe I've never really thought about it enough from the other angle. And I think it's really important that it should be equal. I know that biologically women go through more in terms of, you know, giving birth and all of that. So there's a bit longer recovery time. But I think as parents, that time is so special and so formative for the rest of the life of the child that I just think there needs to be way more support for mothers and fathers.
And I think this all stems back to the idea of the man being the provider, the woman being the home maker, main caregiver, etc. Like that's all shifting, right? So we're in a world where the woman who's earning more money or the husband, this obviously heteronormative dynamics, might be staying at home with the kid, but we haven't shifted the times in terms of, you know, and also I love what you said about, I mean, 2 weeks with your baby is nothing, like 14 days, not even that, with a newborn baby.
I can't even imagine.
Neither can I. And I think it's really unfair to expect, it's unfair on the partner that's at home with the baby whose like sole responsibility is. It's unfair on the dad or the other, you know, parent who has to go back to work because they have to earn enough money to support. It sucks.
And whether you've got 2 weeks or 26 weeks or whatever, it's like the amount of comments that I was reading from fathers and from dads that were like, I had no choice. I had to go back to work. And then it all comes down to financial reasons, right? Like you could take a year off if you wanted, but it's usually money that draws people back into work sooner than they need to or they want to. And so there just needs to be more support from government, and I just can't understand.
So I found this really interesting. There was this conversation about, and I can't remember where I heard it, but it was the idea that parents, regardless of gender, are raising the next generation for the workforce to go in and work for businesses and make businesses money, and yet parents aren't paid for doing that. And, essentially, in terms of like a capitalist system, it's a huge amount of that workforce that's like teaching, training, growing, helping bring up this next generation that are not being paid.
Yeah.
And the idea that that does need to come back on businesses if we're truly paying for the whole way that they run and the people that are coming through to make their business profitable, there needs to be money put aside to pay for that. And that's not just women at home. That's also for men to be able to take time off to raise their kids.
And also, it's going to take generations. The slower that we give equal parental leave to both parents, the more children are going to see their father out at work and their mother at home. And I know I'm talking about when they're very young, but like if we don't have that financial support, I'm assuming here a traditional role of a mother staying at home and a father going to work. But yeah, the longer that you see that dynamic play out, the more you think it's normal in society. And therefore, so we need to break the mold. But the UK has some of the worst parental leave, and that's why the UK dads in particular are striking.
So what did they do? Are they, when you say striking, are they striking from work? Are they doing protests? What does it look like?
They're striking for longer leave, paid leave.
But what are they? They're striking, so as in they're not going into work.
No, they're protesting. Yeah.
So they're not okay because isn't a strike kind of when you're
when you don't go into.
So it's more they're when you say they're protesting
against.
Are they on the streets with signs and stuff?
Yeah.
Can we go join them? I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I think it's so cool, and it's sad that they have to, right? But it is what it is.
I feel this really, when there's so much shit going on in the world and there's so many injustices.
Yeah.
How do I say that
Injustices.
word? Thank you. And things that are just like heartbreaking when you hear them. It gives me hope and pride when people stand up for and try to actively change things that are not right. And hearing the story, even though it's really awful that they have to, I feel proud and
I agree.
And I think filled of hope. I don't really know how to explain it.
And I think for me, it was like, of course, we both have to support each other, no matter what gender or, ethnicity or culture or religion. It's like, you don't have to be part of the group that is affected. You can protest on things that because you just want to support your friends, your family, your community, or, like this is, I don't know, we're just so sometimes women have it tough, like help us, which we do on a lot of things. But it's also like, you know what? If we actually help dads get more parental leave, that's going to help us as a byproduct. It's like this whole, everything's so connected,
but
right?
I also love the idea of if we stand up and strike or protest on their behalf and they see the solidarity of us wanting to help them, that's all going to swing in roundabouts, right? So when we're like, hey, can you help us with this? It's this collective. We want to see better for everyone. It's not just we're in our echo chambers trying to change this one small thing.
I'm just also absolutely baffled that there is people in Parliament and in government that look at this and think that that is okay. Do you know what I mean? If I got into power, that'd be one of the first things in my first policies that I would change.
I think you should go into politics. I think maybe.
Excuse me.
I think actually you are doing yourself a huge disservice here. I was thinking about this when I was at the live podcast show last night, and the way that Izzy and Grace talk is so chill. Honestly, it's just like they're at the pub talking to each other. They're not like, "Hi, welcome to our live show, everyone." And I thought I love how they present. It's so true to their podcast. But I actually thought I love how you present, because when you speak about the research and the news and the things you're talking about, you do speak with such a authoritative, strong voice, which I actually really love. And I think that you in politics, I think you would be surprised. I think you would show up and actually be able to command attention. Maybe, like sometime in the future. Yeah. Or maybe it's the curve. As in, I think there's an element
where
you've just got to
be so passionate about it, right? Which I am, because there's no monetary gain from really being in politics. It's all about your passion and about, you know, like it's not like you grow a business with a purpose and a passion and there is financial reward at the end or along the way. It's very, very different. But not saying that that changes it. It's just, yeah.
But this is something that you're really passionate about and you always have been. And I think, you know, maybe you don't have to go and be an MP for it, but it could be talking to or asking how we can help. You know, is it that we need to arrange our own protest?
Tax me more. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, increase my tax by 1 or 2%. It's probably people being like, no. But like, I'm not going to notice 1 or 2%. This I'm going to notice. This is my children are going to notice, you know, and just feel like, anyway. One thing that I kind of wanted to leave this topic on was like, we do have a podcast on with Meg and Guy, and it's Raising the Curve 114. 114? Whoa. Is that weird?
Same thing. Yeah. We'll link it in the podcast.
Yeah, and it's all about saying goodbye to daddy daycare, and yeah, it's all around she is the breadwinner, quote unquote. And
I loved that conversation. Yeah. So it was really fun.
I just loved how proud he was.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I don't know why that shocked me.
It's also highlighting really epic men in the space who are proud to be parents, who want to be more involved.
Which is championing change. If you just take your 2 weeks and go and then go back to work and don't actually do anything about it or talk to your employer or, you know, take a stand, you're doing everyone behind you a disservice.
Just quickly, what are the difference between UK, Australia and New Zealand in terms of parental leave? How bad is it in the UK?
So the UK, you get 2 weeks and you get about 90% of your earnings during that 2 weeks. So 90% of your pay. In New Zealand, you get 2 weeks unpaid. So
unpaid? Oh, for God's sake.
You may as well take a 4-week holiday, quote unquote holiday. But you get 26 weeks. You can split that between mother and father in New Zealand. So there is the option if, say, the father is the primary carer, and then the mother has to go to work. So,
and that's from the government, right?
Yeah, that's the government. So employers every employer has a different initiative. They might add on top of that. They might not.
So is the 2 weeks in the UK government or is that?
That's government, yeah.
So some businesses might have more. It's just the fact that
they might top it up. Yeah. But that's the thing, right? I'm sure businesses would love to give 26 weeks or a year.
Most can't afford.
Financially, that would almost break us.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, don't even think about it.
I was like, oh shit. Just reading the fine print of my contract, being like, what is the parental leave policy?
The parental leave policy is that there is not one.
Yeah, I don't even think I have a contract. So yeah, good luck, Vic. And in Australia,
no, if you want to have a baby, Vic, we will find a way. We will find. But I know what you mean.
We will turn the studio into a daycare. It's fine.
Yeah, it'll be a cute little crèche.
Imagine trying to record. We can't even record with Miso in the office, let alone And then Australia, they get up to 20 weeks and that can be shared between both parents. So a lot of governments are doing both.
So the UK is terrible.
Most get 2 weeks. For dad specifically is 2 weeks. I'm just like, who the hell came up with 2 weeks?
Oh, it must be ancient. It would be hundreds of years ago.
Yeah. Where, no, I don't want to say it. Dad's probably wanted to go back to work.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, like back in the day, the woman would go into labour and the men would go to the pub. And that's the bedwetting is the cheering of of beer. They'd get a call being like, you've had a boy, you've had a girl. They would never be in the
No.
I know.
Oh my God.
It kind of makes me thankful for how far we've come. What are we going to look back at today that think that was normal? It kind of scares me.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
That would probably be like, what? You used to sit in a room and talk in a microphone and people listened? Oh, my God, that's so weird.
I mean, I think they'll probably be thinking things along the lines of the fact that there even was gender inequality.
Yeah.
You know, the pay. And
I know. I just hope that my daughters or sons just gender inequality is
that's
nothing.
why things like listening to this podcast or, you know, that is a form of activism.
Yeah,
to
share it to people.
No, it's true. I think it comes down to we have to sit, and if you look back even in feminism history and the amount of struggle and like what had to be done to get us into a position that we're in now, we have a responsibility to do that for our kids and for the generations
100%,
to come.
Yeah.
And doing things like educating yourself is the first step in that direction. And I think, I mean, there's so many ways that we can do it, but we need to not just get lazy and be like, it's fine. It's like, no, there's still a lot of work to be done.
Sorry,
anyway, before we get to like
chia seed stuck in my plate.
Not a fun feeling. And then they grow. The chia seed just like gets all your saliva and starts getting bigger and bigger.
Have you ever put...
Because they soak?
Yeah. It kind of worries me what it does inside my stomach.
It's like those little dinosaur toys that you put in water and then they expand by 7 times the size.
Someone told me that, those crispy noodles, packets of crispy noodles, I used to eat them at school. And someone told me, that they expand in your stomach. And I was like,
does it freak you out?
Yeah.
Because you've eaten to the point where you're so full that then they expand.
Yeah, then they expand and I'm just going to become one big noodle.
Yeah. Do you need some time to get the chia seed out of your mouth?
It's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
If you want to go have a look in the
It's
mirror.
like when you got a little bit of popcorn stuck in your teeth.
I hate it.
It's like, I just, it's not even worth eating the popcorn, to be honest. Middle East.
Okay, so this is freaking me out a lot.
I thought it might be.
Where to even begin?
I know.
So one of our advisors actually shared something to their story on socials, and it was all these historians looking back at politics and dictatorships and basically what's happening, and the idea that you can look to the past for indications of where we're going and what we're seeing. It scared the bejesus out of me.
What's the quote? It's like, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. It doesn't rhyme, but it repeats or something.
I bet you just made that up.
No.
Have a quick look. So have you seen that film Lee with Kate Winslet? And it's about World War II, and she's a photographer. There's all these really iconic photographs of her in Hitler's bathroom. She gets naked in the bath, and this is just as the war's finished. Germany's retreated, and there's this scene where all of these American soldiers are in
Mark Twain.
Hitler's...
History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes, and that means it looks very similar.
So in this film, there's this interview at the start where the son is kind of interviewing old Kate Winslet as a mum. And without giving too much away, he basically asks, how did you not know what was going on at the time? How did you not make decisions sooner? And it was kind of what she was saying. It sort of just happened. It happened so slowly and gradually. And then all of a sudden, the realization of what was going on. Anyway, it just freaks me out because I feel like that's what's kind of happening right now.
Yeah.
There's these things that are happening that we're like, this is awful. But it's like, it's like, it's not just awful. It's really freaking me out.
Have you seen The Big Short?
No.
When a movie ends and then it kind of words pop up and kind of tell you what had happened to the characters, or like if it's based on a true story, the end, it kind of says like this person was convicted, this person went to jail, blah, blah, blah. The next slide was like, but the banks or whatever have started to lend this again. And like it alludes to like, and we're still doing it. We've started to do it again, even though this was years ago. And it's kind of the same feeling like that, right? Things do repeat themselves and start to creep up without you realizing. And Anyway, Middle East. It is home to one of the world's largest oil producers, which is Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, and the United Arab Emirates. So like when there's turmoil in the Middle East or disruption or anything, it's mainly because of oil is why the chaos and the fightings and the wars all start, all the protectionism, because it's such a high oil producing region. But when wars break out or tensions arise, this leads to supply chain disruptions. So it means that 20% of the world's global oil trade goes through the Middle East, and when you can't move product, like we saw with COVID, right? Lockdowns, like shipping channels were all bunged up and things just were way more expensive because they take longer and they have to go to alternate routes and all of that. So this means that oil prices have increased. We've started to see that happen. And we've actually started to see stock prices like Chevron, ExxonMobil, all of those companies, their share prices have gone up because they can now charge more for oil. Oil's in petrol, it's in airlines. Bad news for airlines because now they have to pay more for the raw material that goes into their products. Yeah. So even logistics, right? If you've got a whole lot of trucks on the road, you're now having to pay more for petrol. That increases. It just gets passed through to the consumer, which leads to inflation. Yeah. So
can we do that again so it sounds like I knew what I was talking about?
Sorry.
Which leads
to
inflation.
Yes, well done. So this is what everyone's kind of worried about. And this week, the stock market was off a little bit. Like it wasn't too bad, but people are definitely watching this with a fine-tooth comb. And also, if things escalate and the US gets really involved, is this World War III? Does that mean, there's going to be a real slowdown in global growth that's going to impact, if it gets broader than just the Middle East, that's when people are getting concerned.
Can you explain what happened last week in terms of the bombing and what it was about? Like, is this anything to do with oil and money, or is this quite removed from what you're talking about?
I mean, I'm not a Middle East expert.
If we have one in our community, I would love
I think more
to
the financial angle, though, is inflation. And then if it gets into a full-scale World War III and the US gets involved and the US starts getting targeted, that's going to have huge impacts. But I think the key takeaway from here is that, we spoke about this when the tariffs were being, all the tariff discussions, right? We need to be investing outside of the US right now. We need to be investing in Europe, UK, Asia, all of those regions, because the US has had a phenomenal run over the last 10 years. The US stock market, Amazon, Nvidia, all those companies have had such great returns. I'm not saying I don't know what they'll do, over the next few years, but just kind of hedging my bets. I'm putting money outside in other regions just to, protect myself, really. But watching this very closely, watching the oil price, watching, the retaliations and who's targeting who. And I hope it doesn't escalate. But yeah, all the news headlines. I think it's interesting. I was on the treadmill and it was like, breaking news, Israel targets Iran and bombs Iran. And I think I flicked through the next channel because I was like, I want some more financial, I wanted some financial updates. And then it was like breaking news on there and there and there. And then I was like, this is a big deal. I know there's been turmoil in the Middle East, but I'm not an expert on historically who's, but when something's on every single channel, that's okay. What are the implications of this? I want to do some more digging on what's happened. But yeah, and so Israel bombed Iran. Obviously, the US is backing Israel, and it has for many, many years. So Iran's now hitting back at Israel, but does that mean that Iran then hits back at the US? The Iran military forces so much more bigger than Israel. The country itself is way bigger.
Iran's?
Yeah. So I guess they're in a position of power, but then if the US is behind Israel, it's all connected. Oh. But the US doesn't, is in alliance with Israel because of oil. It's just
right.
Yeah. Even going back to September 11, right? Iraq and Osama bin Laden, it just goes back and back and back. The US and the Middle East. It's like,
I think it would be fascinating. I know that this is like a slight adjacent to the financials, but it is all so interconnected. People fight and worlds are started over power and money.
Oh,
and
definitely.
It's so interrelated. I think that
it's so power, it's so money.
Yeah.
It's exactly. Oil is such an incredible asset, and if you've got control over that, the world still cannot survive without oil. And US, yes, they can get some of their own, but they're still very reliant on the Middle East. So they've got to be very careful of who they back and who they side with. And I don't know, I was sitting here and I was looking at all these men, come to their podiums, all the prime ministers and presidents, and talking about, we're going to retaliate, we're going to bomb this, we're going to bomb that. Would this, and I don't, this might cause some controversy, but would this happen if you had 3 women in power?
Absolutely not. I was thinking about this yesterday.
Israel and Iran. I just cannot fathom that 3 women would be sitting there being like, we're going to bomb you, we're going to bomb you. And maybe they would, but I cannot ever see that it would be let's sit down, let's talk about it. And that's what I'm going to say.
I think it would be really, really interesting if anyone knows any amazing, whether it be historians or researchers or academics who are really schooled up in this conversation between Middle East and the history and what's happened there with relation to power and money. I think it would be a fascinating conversation for us to all get up to date with that, because there's you're right, there's been absolutely years and years of this conflict, and I think that having someone that's almost neutral, that's not that is like
just help us break it down.
Help us break it down, because I think everyone needs to understand this, and it's sometimes hard to know what news outlets to listen to, and also to come in what feels like quite late to the conversation, but really, really understanding what's going on. I think that would be fascinating.
And I think it's been going on for so many years, right? This kind of tension in the Middle East. And some people might think that I was pretty naive, not realizing the enormity of Israel, bombing Iran. But I would love to know at what point is that escalation serious? Do you know what I mean? Is it now? Is it if the US retaliates, or is it if Russia gets involved or China? What? I have no idea. Yeah. So, yeah, that would be great though. Yeah. American Express. I don't know why I said it like an American.
So, yeah, what's been happening with them?
So, American Express.
You're quite a fan of this company, aren't you?
Yeah.
We've spoken about it a bit in the Investing Club. We've done some breakdowns on it.
Yeah. It's been around forever. It's about 175 years old.
It's not really that old.
For a company to be around,
Really?
You think that companies get bought out, they get closed down. But I really want to talk about American Express because they have recently introduced a price increase for their cards. It used to be $700 an annual fee to have an American Express, which is quite a lot of money just to have a card to spend money on. That's now going up to nearly $1,000 a year.
God, are you keeping yours?
Yep. Anyway, I just want to kind of explain why I like American Express so much. So this announcement came up that they're increasing the price of their cards. Everyone's like, oh my God, what? But they also announced it with a side comment saying this is the largest investment ever. They're going to have a big refresh. They're going to have a lot of new incentives and rewards. And that's why people own these cards, right? It's like a status symbol. They've done so well. Pretty much everyone has a Visa MasterCard. If you think that's the run of the mill, that's like shopping at your everyday supermarket, right? And then people that shop at like the really nice supermarkets, maybe it's a bad analogy, but the American Express has done really well at targeting Gen Zs, which I know you might think, you might think credit cards bad for Gen Zs, and I totally get that. But they're targeting experiences, right? They're targeting, and this is a theme I've been noticing play out with the increased use of AI. People are craving experiences you can't dupe with AI. We've seen luxury brands, get really into experiences. They're having little ice cream trucks and stuff, like Prada ice cream truck, for example, they're getting really into, like if you think that like Jacquemus has like done this beach club in France. And
is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've always been like Jacquemus.
Oh yeah, no, same.
Is it Jacquemus? Oh God, how embarrassing.
But anyway, all these brands are getting into experiences because it's like, yeah.
When did you find that out? I feel
like my sister told me. I was the same as you.
Oh God.
What else? Oh, Louis. Louis.
How do you actually say that one?
Louis.
I was like Louis.
Yeah, I know. And then what's the other one? Oh, Kate. Do you do that one? I was like,
wait, what's Kate?
It's KHAIT. Anyway.
Oh, I don't even know what that brand is.
I was like, I like the kiss. It's so funny when you don't know how to say something and you just kind of anyway.
Merge it into your other words.
Over the last 5 years, Amex has doubled the return of the stock market. So it has done, if you'd invested in American Express, you would have done double than what the market return was. And this is why Warren Buffett invested in it. He thinks it's fantastic, therefore so do I. Anyway, the story probably isn't as exciting.
I'm bored.
Yeah,
where are you going with this?
I'm trying to give people an investment idea.
Yeah, well, just join the club. Or if you're wanting to learn about investing and you haven't, join our bootcamp. Yeah. It's starting in like a week.
But yeah, love American Express. Quick fire, next three. London is seeing a massive exodus. So,
oh my God, I saw this and I kind of was like, why? What's happening?
They changed the tax laws. So if you're a non-dom, so that means you don't live in the country, but you have assets in the country. So that means, then you have to pay tax. Anyway, so there's been this massive exodus of wealthy people from London that have sold properties, got rid of assets, and are moving their assets elsewhere where they pay fewer tax or lower tax. So there's a number of mansions in London that are for sale, which means prices are falling in terms of £5 million.
Should we rub our pennies together?
I know. I'm like, your loss is not my gain. Yeah. I know. I was sitting. I was like, but then I was like, still £5 million. Absolutely not. And then now there's talk of them reversing that.
So sorry, what was the law? I'm so lost.
So if you are not domiciled in a country, so you're a non-dom. So we are non-doms.
Yes.
Yeah. So actually.
No, but are we? Because we don't have assets.
We'd be taxed here. Yeah, we weren't. When we came over for that like 6 months, we'll probably be non-doms.
As non-doms.
Yeah, because we have assets. Yeah, if you bought an asset in London and you were like kind of maybe working in the Middle East or in China or Australia or America, whatever, you still get taxed on that. So it's just saying we're going to now tax all of your assets. Pretty much you have to start paying tax now. You can't be here. You can't have assets here and not be taxed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they might change it because all these people with money are leaving.
Everyone's leaving and this is mass exodus and like that is actually investment in the country, right?
I understand why they have introduced that.
Yeah.
What do you think on it?
I think it's absolutely stupid. That's
really?
Because
But doesn't it make sense? Isn't it like the idea of if you sell
I feel like tax is one of those things that's really ripe for disruption. So many people are going to have houses in different countries, work in different countries, need one kind of global or a platform even that you just put in, okay, cool, I've done 2 days here, I've done 165, I've got assets here. Where do I pay and who do I pay? Because right now you might pay UK tax and you got to get a tax back. Like it was an absolute shit show. I had to put my house in a trust in New Zealand. Probably shouldn't be putting this on a podcast, but I had to avoid because I'm like, otherwise I'd be taxed on my house in New Zealand. And
being an adult sometimes is quite hard.
Yeah, and living all around the world. Nintendo, this is another theme I wanted to bring up, is gaming.
Oh, it's huge.
It's absolutely huge and it's mind-blowing because I'm not like exposed to it. I'm not a gamer. I feel like I'm pretty late to the party, but I think with this, anyone listening that is a gamer or knows a gamer would have been able to spot this from a mile away, you know? And I think it's a really important reminder is open your eyes.
But wait, what's actually happening with Nintendo?
So Nintendo has released a new console and it's absolutely shot the lights out. So they released one in 2017, 2021, and now 2025. This one had a massive increase in price.
Is Nintendo just like PlayStation?
Yeah. Yeah. It's called the Nintendo Switch 2. And launch has just been absolutely incredible. The share price is up 60% this year. It's absolutely gangbusters.
Would you date a guy that plays Nintendo or PlayStation?
Not all the time. I would find it quite gross and sloppy. Like just
like sitting there with their popcorn and
but if they did it like, I don't know, when I sit on TikTok, then I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's like, I'm going to bed and they're like, cool, I'm going to play Nintendo till 1 a.m.
I just think it's quite, if they were doing, that's quite an addictive personality. I'd be like, why can't you switch off? Like, oh, I've just got to jump over this frog. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would depend.
Yeah. It's almost like, it's fine if you like to party as long as you get your shit sorted. It's fine to do this as long as you blah, blah,
it's
blah.
It's fine to indulge and eat fries as long as you're doing it every day.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like, it's fine to watch Gossip Girl every night you go to sleep. It's just as long as you... I need to get rid of that habit. I'm like quite...
Gossip Girl. I just find it fascinating that you're watching Gossip Girl.
I think it's because it's my version of switching off. Just like people use Nintendo to totally zone out. I find watching new TV shows or new movies really stimulating. And sometimes I just want my brain to not be thinking. And I don't know
Do you read?
Yes, but that's thinking. Maybe what I need to do is get into fiction opposed to non-fiction and escape in a way that's it's story opposed to...
definitely.
But I
started watching the documentary about OceanGate, the submarine that went down with the billionaires on board.
Oh my God, I haven't heard of this.
Oh, it's so fascinating.
Where did you watch it? And
Netflix.
Did you finish Call Her Alex?
Yes.
Is it good?
So fascinating. It was quite short.
Oh, okay. I'm going to watch it this weekend. Fun.
It's kind of reignited, I think, the whole Sophia Alex drama. Sophia put out a podcast. It was like, I hear you all. Something's coming. And I was like, oh, can we just put this to bed?
Oh, she's going to talk about
it again.
And then
Sophia's like, I came up with unwell. And
if you came up with unwell, why is your podcast so shit? And why is all of your media so boring? You sound like
sorry. I can't handle it.
And then I got my vape and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to vape on the side of the street. I'm like, you honestly are so...
And she talks like that. I'm like, how can I even hear what's in the microphone?
And honestly, I'm not even necessarily... Like, who are you? Like, she's got a much more successful podcast than us.
I know. And we're like, ugh. I know, that's so funny.
But I just think if you look at what's happened since that whole thing, you cannot claim that's not money alone that's got her there. That's creative genius. That's hard work. And don't go and claim that.
I think everything in life is a bit of luck, but it's 10% luck, 90% hard work. I also, it's funny, on the documentary, there's a snippet, their first podcast they put out, and strategically, I think that Alex is included in the documentary. Alex is like, we just thought it was at a podcast. And Sophia's like, yeah, I'm just here riding on Alex's coattails. It's like, ooh.
Shit, you're busted. Yeah. You're busted, babe.
But I love how everyone's there with the popcorn just being like, oh my God. You know, like it's been quite a good PR.
Even that, it's been such good PR, and yet Sophia's podcast and socials is still.
I know. I wouldn't podcast if I was her.
Same.
It would be too close to home.
Yeah, but also, I guess in a way, good on her for not
because
having
people would still be talking about it 2 years later.
But
you know?
I was going to say, to not have the ego to stop you is quite impressive. It's like if you stop a competitive sport but you still coach or whatever. It's quite amazing to be able to still be in that realm knowing that you're not top of your game. I think that's quite cool.
If you can't teach.
But the fact that she's still doing it is quite impressive. Because I'm the same. I'd be like, no, okay, we probably need to step back from that.
I just find it traumatic.
Yeah.
What could have been?
But you can't escape her. Alex is everywhere.
I know.
Imagine.
It's like an ex-boyfriend that just doesn't go away and flaunts his new girlfriend all over social media.
So this girl that I knew when I lived in Sydney was dating Jojo Siwa, that child star from
yes.
And oh my God, I didn't realize Miso was under the couch.
Miso, up here.
Oh, darling.
It must be quite hot for you, covered in black fur.
But basically, Jojo went on Big Brother.
Yeah. And started dating this guy.
Started dating now Chris Hughes from Love Island or whatever his name is. And
she's like, we're just friends. I'm
just like looking at Kath thinking, imagine watching that unfold on national television and then not being able to get away from it because both of them are such huge celebrities.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you're not in a time where you can necessarily mute everything.
Don't date celebrities.
Yeah. God.
Yeah. Anyway.
Luckily, we're probably not fishing in that pool.
But yeah.
Although I did join Raya.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's quite funny. No one talks to anyone on that.
Oh, yeah. I feel like it's.
I thought that we're there to date, not just get an ego boost for someone liking you. I'm like, can we all talk?
There's never anyone on it where I was.
Oh, no, there's definitely people.
Yeah.
Hi, darling.
Awesome. Okay.
Are we done?
We're done. Bye. I'm really hot.
Yeah, I'm really hot too.
Oh.
We have our boot camp starting in like a week. So if you would like to learn about investing.
It's not your typical boot camp.
Yeah, you're not doing burpees. If you want to learn.
You can if you want, but yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe if you don't do your homework, you make yourself do burpees.
Maybe we should make people do burpees. No, that won't encourage people to come.
No, it won't. But it's for beginners. So if you're if you're wanting to learn about splitting your pay and all the personal finance side, as well as all of the fundamentals about investing, you want to learn how to set up your portfolio, you want to know what to invest in, blah, blah, blah. We're doing it in a month to try and give you a short space of time to get your SHIT sorted.
Yeah. And you will come out of it, honestly, you will come out of it with the confidence to actually start investing. Yeah. So if you haven't pulled the trigger and you're like, this is something that I wanted to do for ages, I can hand on heart say that by the end of it, you will have the confidence to start investing. We actually even start you off with a small amount during the course to help you, so we'll all do it together to help. What does it cross that threshold?
Well, it's just just doing it. Yeah. I think that you can think about it till the cows come home, but if you're not actually doing it, then it's just like,
and God. I'm so like that sometimes, right? Like I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to do 10 minutes of abs every day. And then come tomorrow, I'm like, I'll start tomorrow.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need to kick up the bum. Yeah. So for anyone that would like to learn more about the boot camp, see what it includes, etc., we will put details in the podcast show notes. If you've got any questions, definitely let us know.
And it starts on
30th
of June.
So it's basically like in less than a week. So don't muck around.
Don't mess around.
Also, we're trying to keep it a small, cute little group so people can ask questions and it doesn't feel too overwhelming.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to The Curve Weekly. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all the money, biz and stock market news. And if you like what you heard, we would love a review. Thank you.
Yes, we would love a review. But if you did hate it, please, don't leave one if you hate it. No, but in all seriousness, could you please leave a review? Because it really helps other people find our cute little podcast.
And we hope you have a good week and see you next Monday.
Bye.
Sweet. Nice. Yeah. See you next Tuesday. Lol. See you next Tuesday. I mean Monday.
No, actually though, new episodes out every Tuesday. Okay, quickly. The Curve was created to empower and educate you about investing, but we are not financial advisors.
Our platform exists for educational purposes only, and it doesn't provide personalized investing advice for your individual needs and should not be relied upon to make an investment or financial decision.
And always remember to do your own research before making any investment or financial decision.
We're here for any knowledge and support you need, but the final call is always yours.
And thanks for being here.
You got this.
Yeah, we know you got this.